So I've got the Bible reading in front of me with bad headache, some extra light. The light is switched off. Not working because I have my kettle switched on. This is the kettle thingy. Lid. And the kettle bottom. Yep. So can't put the light on while I'm using the kettle. So in this video I'm going to title it Looking at the Propagandists, and I'm not going to mention any names because I don't want to endanger my life. The propagandist and how the picture profile of the orange versus the grey in the bin. I'm looking out how where saints are in the middle. Saints are in the middle versus the politics. Oh, I've got burps. And so the stolen truth is the bad dragon. Got some cereal there. Haven't had my breakfast yet. This is so important. Even more important than having my breakfast. And so I want to focus on the Holy Word because of the new Bible, and also shared with everybody who is in the spirit of truth. But this is how ultimately saints and God's people who stand up for the truth are life endangered and destroyed. Because we see how these demons swap. So it has become apparent how the one world leader has swapped with another world leader. And I'm going to give a clue. No, I'm not going to give a clue, actually. Well, I think they already know. Because they've looked at my eyes, they've read my secret diaries. When I had said, quote, kill them all, it was the God's Holy Spirit and the holy angels that God uses to create a holy genocide. Where God decides whether you live or die, not humans. So that's what I was praying for. I was not praying towards humans. So they misinterpreted that and stolen that from my diary, which is outrageous. Which is a parasitic type of behaviour. So I'm going to expose it, sod it. Because since they've exposed my silent and private prayers, they've stolen, I'm going to expose it. So my daughter, Ellen, and her surname Boyd, and Roger Ayres, his surname Ayres, represent the small party, who become the big political party. So the small party, in other words, the Antichrist, where Putin dominates, in the army of liars and propagandists, where Putin dominates, and Children's Social Services dominate, and Imperial dominates, is now Trump. They swapped their political agenda. So in other words, the murderer, the most vicious army, it's surprising. It's not Trump, it's Putin, who is probably more dominant than Israel, because it's about the money and how he shares that brick with Africa. So who has more money has a stronger army, symbolic to the murder, the killer, or the genocide, which is the grey alien, and it becomes the cheat of the criminal. In other words, the war criminal. It's also in my mother's DNA, my biological mother, where Putin becomes Trump, where Putin overpowers Trump and all of them, including Saudi Arabia, because China is with Trump. So we'll say China and Putin versus Trump, Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. and how these spirits have swapped based on money and weapons, and of course, sex. What the best woman that they get to sleep with. Since Keir Starmer has joined China and Putin, he now wants to spread his semen and have lots of children in Mexico, so I was told. So this type of man is a very wicked man, the same as King Solomon, who in fact, there is no guarantee that God has saved anyone unless the saints intervene and consult. So for example, I've asked if Michael Jackson is saved, if Whitney Houston is saved, or in the process of being saved and disciplined in the afterlife. I got my answers. Or any other tyrant, or any other Antichrist spirit who is now in the afterlife, he's dead. And also according to Elvis Presley, and according to the ancient Egyptians, who were the bad guy, are they now the good guy in the afterlife? So unless the advanced saints ask God if they have been pardoned, not the Satanists, not the murderers, not the criminals, they don't get to know that. So this is where the saints are in between both of these governors who are fraud governors. They're gangsters, they're not governments. And so this is why I've got to expose the truth so that I could be categorized in the correct category, all the saints. Because I speak the truth and nothing but the truth. It's them who have misinterpreted it. But what annoys me about Putin's lot is that they also jump into conclusions and make assumptions based on the shadow government or what they have stolen from my privacy, my silence, which is an invasive spirit. I've given an example of when I was praying, kill them all. They've taken that and made me look like a terrorist who had been captured by the racist thugs. And so I don't see myself on Keir Starmer's side. I don't see myself on anybody, not even China or Putin's side. Even it's them who are on my side. It's them who are taking my truth. So who is guilty more of stealing that truth? Any truth that is stolen is not a truth. It's a crime. So, going back to the same subject, the murderer who becomes a crime or a human rights abuser is the bird, the gold, the gold who becomes the silver. Is my daughter. She was the gold when she was with me, and then she became the silver when they kidnapped her. They separated her from me. So she is now the gold who is the silver. But because they downgraded the saints, as I wasn't a capitalist or a colonialist, I was a one individual person versus many. It downgraded my daughter, so she is silver. She is a Sylvie who has become gold. So while she was with me, they told lies and said that she was a silver, and now she's gold because she's with the criminals, which is outrageous. And it's coming from Putin's side. And that's how you get the Bible and chapter and verse of the Bible. I'm going to turn the camera around if I possibly can. So this is what they're saying about my daughter through the Antichrist and through the kidnappers that they have credited, and they have removed or discredited me and my credentials. So let's see if I can turn the camera around, because I want to expose the truth. I've been studying this. So this section is now, I've got an arrow going downwards. So this page over here is dedicated in my prayer for the small who become, so the small minis, the fairies, gone with the fairies, those, but actually have the biggest ego, are the giants. So the arrogant have become the aggressive. So the arrow is going downwards. So this page is over there, and then this page is over here. So look how they swap. Here we go. Putin is Trump. So now they know who's boss, because they've stolen that idea from me. And I don't get any fame. God does not get any fame. God does not get any treasure. They're getting my treasure and my fame that are given to God, that they're given to the devil. So look, Putin is Trump, who is my DNA, my mother. A stolen truth is not a truth. It's also my mother and my daughter, Ellen Boyd. Wash your face. And so this is so annoying. These immature, selfish, spoiled brat, the oversexed and overfed, where the government is saying, which is actually Putin swapping with Trump, is now Trump, is my mother and daughter. This is how Putin has swapped. This is so immature. It's also the orange side. Originally, it's the orange side, but it's now the grey side because of the kidnap and the curse on them. My pen has disappeared. Here we go. So I've got delete the bird and the spider, symbolic to my daughter, the orange and the red and the rainbow colours. So it was originally a rainbow colour, a bird and a spider, a bird brain, but it came in Mrs. Brown, where all the bad Indians come from, and teenage sex and underage sex. The rapists, John Roderick's, Roger Ayres. So they're in the same, they are swapping, these demons are swapping, where I have said the small, the children, have become the big, so the children are dominating. The teenagers and the teenagers are actually dominating the government. It's also, the stolen truth is not the truth, it is FBI. The old FBI is with Trump. The new FBI could be developing with Putin. So let's expose the secret. It has to be done. So the murderer who becomes a cheating criminal, the freak who becomes the creep, the abnormal Nazis, where the brown and blue bee, which is an unusual bee, the rare exotic creatures, not all of them, but some of them or most of them, and the creep of nature, not the freak of nature, which all belongs to Trump's lot and my mother's lot and my daughter's lot, where the rainbow becomes the same as a grey alien, or the dragon, which look like rodent teeth. And so these people, John Roderick's, symbolic to, wait a minute, John Roderick's and Jay are now going to, they were originally with, they are originally with Trump, not Putin. So since the government has swapped, can I show the arrows of switching and swapping? So Roger Ayres and my daughter and the rapists and the robbers are now over here. So the initials have swapped. And Jay and John Roderick's are in this box because they are taxpayers I'm not a taxpayer, never have been. They're part of the government system, which they tolerate. They don't fight it. They tolerate it. And so I'm not going to reveal all the secrets, but so only the 2 pages of the Bible. And then here in the middle, you have all the saints in the middle that don't belong to a government. No one can serve 2 masters. He will either hate one or the other. You cannot serve both God and money. This is where the all saints are in. And here, do not. Then it says, can a agape love say to another one of the human beings, there's a splinter or a speck of dirt in your eye. Take the speck of dirt in your own eye, or a plank in your eye, about hypocrisy. Yep. So this is where saints are, with the holy rodents. And then you've got the unholy rodent with the bad dragon versus the bird. So Mrs. Brown with bird brain and how they swap. So because they believe in lies, according to a corrupt government, I keep it a secret where the holy government is, starting from me and with God. So this is how they've swapped. This W is the 3 people who have triple polygamy and triple sex or quadruple sex. So you've got the W, where the Nazis are also. The small is big. So this is now Trump. It was Putin, but it's now Trump. And my mother and Ellen, my daughter. And the old FBI. So it's going, an arrow's going downwards. So on this page and onwards, it's my father. And these initials here, Roger Ayres and my daughter. So she's split in between 2, so she probably has a personality disorder because of the sociopath tendencies, due to the fact she had she had a childhood trauma being separated from me. She didn't want to be separated from me. They forced her, and they made everything to their narrative, to their partial-sided judgment. So what you have here is the arrow going downwards, the aggressive dragon, who is the dumb bird brain. So in other words, the arrogant who is aggressive, versus the aggressive who is the arrogant. The dragon is representing the Antichrist, and the dumb bird brain represents the criminal and the aggressive. The arrogant represent the dragon and the Antichrist. And see how these demons swap, which are stinky sinners. And I'm going to reveal a little bit more. I said only 2 pages. So, yeah, which is all supposed to be Putin's side. So nearly all of England represent Trump's side, my mother's side. Nearly all of England, well, or should I say it's half-half, but the television and news agents are lying. They're saying nearly all of England. So you have the other side, who is the gold. So since on this page you have the bird, the gold, who becomes, according to Saints' Truth, the gold who becomes the silver, This is the truth, but they're lying about it. They're saying it's the other way around. According to Saint's truth, the golden murderer perspective of the criminals, who is now Sylvie, the cheat criminal. So the murderer is beyond the criminal. Is a monster. The silver criminal is witchcraft and wizardry and tricksters and cheats, people who cheat and take advantage, narcissist abusers. They abuse, they torture and torment, but these murder. But they usually work together. They're part of the same team, part of the same sect. And it's horrible. It's horrifying. It's the same as a horror film. In real life. Worse than a horror film. It's in real life. So this is here. The big is small. Which is symbolic to oh my. So going back to here, about how they lie. The gold has become the grey. The silver. Sylvie. So the gold has become the grey. And the grey has become the gold on Putin's side. So in other words, the dragon has become a bird. But is Trump... Wait a minute. Putin... Hold on. Here on this side, we have Putin is Trump. So it's no longer Putin, it's Trump. Over here, we're saying Trump is Putin. So it's no longer Putin. It's no longer Trump, it's Putin. Let's correct that. I'll just put here T because I don't have enough space. T, Trump is Putin. So it's no longer about Trump, it's about Putin. So, silver has become gold or rainbow. Where my daughter is supposed to be disciplined so that the child does not kill the parent, does not dominate the parent. So, reading the section in the next page where I'm revealing a little bit more, instead of the arrow, I said 2 pages, there's actually 3 pages. Is there? Let me have a look. Something missing here. I've got the arrow going down. Where's the arrow going across? I am correct. There's only 2 pages and I can have my breakfast. So, I can't reveal too much. So, I will just say this. The page is going across this way this time rather than the other way. So, it's top to bottom. This was left to right. This is top to bottom now. Looking at also the left-right government, the centre government. But the centre government is the one who harms the saints the most, coming from mental health services. So looking at this formula over here, DNA coming from Thrive, my landlord, is Putin, and Three Rivers District Council is Trump. Now they've also swapped, where Trump is my landlord and Putin is District Council. They're swapped. In the spirit. It's very tiring when you have deceptive and lying spirit, which are stinky sinners, and exhausting, very tiring when it comes to the arrogant, the teachers, the nurses who are stealing the truth and acting as the truth, when in fact many professionals are not. They are criminals who become the murderers. So Putin's side are criminals who become the murderers, and Trump's side are the murderers who become the criminals. So they swap. See? The aggressive nurses and many professionals, half of UK or half of America, because God ultimately limits them. Aggressive, who become the most arrogant, and the most arrogant who become the most aggressive. Both are as bad as each other, but this one is exhausting and tiring to constantly stinky sinners lying, and the other ones are ugly, cheating, ugly. The aggressive are ugly, cheating, troublemaking. I've got Gerald Davis here on YouTube. Rainbow colours, the bird. So you have the dragon, the grey alien, who is acting and becoming the rainbow. So the gold who become the silver that becomes the gold. So there's a hierarchy of evil. The snail, the slug, the Nazis, the cheating, invisible, chains, the spider, this bird. The spider and the bird represents the hierarchy, and the snails. And group sex, trio. So, the aggressive, criminals, cheating, and the arrogant are representing murderers and war criminals. So this is awful, the arrogant. So this is where my daughter is, on Putin's side. So you've got my mum over here in the DNA and my dad over there. The arrogant bird swaps with the grey alien. The rainbow swaps with the grey alien. But yeah, so it's going this side on the page. I mustn't confuse it. So that swaps with that, and that swaps with that. So I'm going from left to right. I'm not going from up and down. So I have to look at how that swaps with that and that swaps with that. It's terrible, this is. So who's a troublemaker? That's very ugly. Terrorist. Originally it was Three Rivers, but since they've swapped, it is my landlord. I'm actually living with the terrorist. So this is terrible. And it talks about the lamp here. Wait, let's see, I'm just going to find the saints. He talks about the lamp and the light and the gates and the authority. I can't find it at the moment. It's somewhere here. The leprosy, people who are sick, obviously the NHS. So going back to the code of practice, the arrogant have the NHS. In other words, the fraud rainbow bird. So I've exposed it now. I've finished talking about it. I'm going to go and have my breakfast. I'm sure I could make it more organized. It's a messy diary. But I just want to make people aware in closing that saints are somewhere in the middle, not as a shadow government. Instead, we're not as a shadow government. Instead, we're the ones who are persecuted and dying as a result of resisting these authorities that are actually it's a fraud government. It's not even a government. It's a gangster. Trying to put the lid on and lock it up to keep the dust off of my I'll close the video now. Kettle.